Hello, America, and to our friends around the world, greetings. This one takes place in my proverbial backyard. Salem is you know, just over 2 hours drive. If you didn't catch the website address, I will post it up again before we transition into the story. And this was a bit of a lengthy read. Yeah, the Statesman Journal is the newspaper that is published out of Salem, and Salem is the capital of Oregon. Growing up, MacLaren was known to all boys. Every boy in Oregon public school would use it as a taunting tease to back and forth, as far as, haha, you better behave, or you'll get sent to the principal's office, and then they're going to send you to MacLaren. MacLaren is an at-risk facility for boys. It has less than 200 boys currently, in that are incarcerated. It's juvenile detention. Uh, I've never been there. I did go to school with people who, I, if I remember correctly, had gone there, but it's been so long that it's not relevant. Uh, this is a report about a woman named Emily Echtenkamp. Emily Echtenkamp. The allegation that she was charged and sentenced goes even deeper than what opens in the news story here. There's additional lawsuits about the abuse that this woman has done to these boys. Apparently, there's several lawsuits. There's at least three focusing on this woman in particular, in addition to the actual case of the young man, the boy who was groomed by her and abused. And there are allegations of drug trafficking that are made. Let me double check here. There's a lawsuit alleging several other people were aware of Echtenkamp's relationship, and they failed to report it. They weren't, because they are incarcerated and their rights are already being deprived because of the crimes that they've committed. They weren't aware that this was grooming, that this was abusive, until they recognize, hey, wait a minute, this is not appropriate. Something needs to be done. They're facing 6 lawsuits, 3 of which name Echtenkamp as being, you know, a big issue. Um, yeah, that alleged that she brought him contraband drugs and took him off unit to do those inappropriate things with him. And she then used her position of authority to further abuse him by threatening. And we'll get into that here in more detail. So, lawsuit, counselor at MacLaren Youth Correctional. Oregon uses what's called the OYA, Oregon Youth Authority. That is their umbrella agency that governs the juvenile system. So Emily Echtenkamp, 35 years old, originally charged over a year ago, 15 months ago. And it goes into detail of what had happened. Some of the counts were dismissed, and the others were kept as for her plea agreement. And keep this in mind, as Oregon has been recently outed all over social media. Twitter, X in particular, as well as other sites such as YouTube and Rumble, and Odyssey, making videos calling it out that that Oregon has the highest number of registered sex offenders out of all the states in the United States. So the state asked the judge to sentence Eckenkamp to 5 years in prison with no eligibility for good time or alternative options. Her lawyer wanted probation. Apparently, it was 10 years. And the reason that the state is, pushing for no alternatives and no chance for parole is that she was his counselor. She abused the position of authority. So she used this trust to manipulate him. Eckenkamp began making regular phone calls, meeting up with him in bathrooms. In his lawsuit, he said that Eckenkamp had at least 20 coercive encounters, SA encounters, grape or whatever you want to call it to keep it from being being censored. Rumble is excellent about that. I've never had an issue with it, but because I cross-platform it, I don't want it to be an issue. She'd arrive early, meet up with him, and then the surveillance videos corroborated his allegations. And she apparently lied, saying that she called the police and said, "Oh, he attacked me. I'm the victim." But the Oregon State Police (OSP), often referred to as AAA with a gun, actually did some work and found that, oh yeah, the video surveillance says yes, this is accurate. His story is accurate. So she resigned and calls OSP, like I said, to make a report alleging that he, the victim, had attacked her. And this was done intentionally, not only just to obfuscate, to distract from the allegations towards her, but this increased his incarceration time an additional 3 months because of her abusive nature. So, according to the state's memorandum, Eckenkamp used the youth's history of substance abuse and being a victim of sexual abuse to manipulate him into this relationship. Imagine that. You destroy, you go in, you're a predator. This is the reason that Oregon, despite all of its negative press that it's gotten in recent months, in particular, this is significant because at least they're doing something and saying, hit this woman and hit her hard. She abused her position of authority, which has undermined every aspect, every bit of credibility this institution has or would ever have of being, quality, of being of value. These boys were being abused by this predator. It's, as I said at the beginning, it is a lengthy read, but it is definitely worth reading this going to the website and reading this report, this news report. This is obviously based on the date. It's March 3rd, 2025. This has been going on since December 2023. 15 months of this has been happening. It again, it's a lengthy read, but it is very worth going into, especially if you're in the Pacific Northwest. With Oregon's most recent Senate bill, 821, about, all right, for those of you who aren't aware, Ben Idle, who is either running or was running for the Oregon Republican chair, posted this on X earlier today, Saturday, March 7, and that deals with Oregon Senate Bill 821, which removes the deadline by which the State Board of Parole and Post-Prison Supervision is required to assess existing sex offender registrants into a risk level. What that means is if these probationary offices do not hear from, are not able to make contact with, or the other stipulations in their parole, instructions, instead of being at 5 days, it's now 10 or 15, whatever that time frame is. When these individuals are released from prison, they're given a time frame of which it is a risk assessment of, hey, I haven't heard from John Doe in 24 hours, 72 hours, 96 hours. They're supposed to locate law enforcement and have them do the welfare check to verify that they're at the address to which they're supposed to be at, all of that. This Oregon Senate Bill 821 is currently in session. And keep that in mind with a story such as this. All right, good luck out there. Stay safe, especially if you're in the Pacific Northwest or California, where escalating violence by women and and not no accountability is being pushed forward in legislative bodies.